You're going to want to give this a try, especially if you've got a stash of napkins in your mixed media art journaling stash. We're going to be using the iron decoupage technique, and we're going to make some coasters. These make great hostess gifts, thank you gifts. I'm going to use these 4-inch round ones. They come wood like this. I'll link to some in the description box below. And you're going to want to give them a coat of gesso. I've already done that. Now, I'm going to recommend cut a window template. Take whatever size your coaster is, cut it out on mixed media paper, tag board, something that you got in the mail that you're going to throw out. And now you're going to use that window template to look at your napkins and see what they might look like as coasters. This is a great tip, and I hope you take advantage of this. You can do it for all sorts of templates for pages and sizes to see. Now, the type of napkin that you want to use varies. Anything goes. If you like the colors, the shapes, the main focal image, then you can pick it. Just take the window template over various parts of the napkin once you've opened up the napkin and select the part that you like. It could be an all over pattern one. It could be a picture one. Again, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to do two kind of different ones. This snowdrop one, I think, would make such a beautiful coaster system. I recently just did a page with that one, but I can see myself using it. These ivies. Now, I wouldn't have thought to use it, but OMG, look how beautiful that is. So you can make these coasters, like I said, as gifts, or just you can have them for every season. So this napkin is called Hibiscus Floral. And this one and all the napkins that I've shown you come from NINNYSNAPKINS.com. There is a link and a coupon code in the description box. So go and check it out and see what she has. This one is called Eucalyptus Bouquet. And surprisingly, I really love the feel of this one. So once you've chosen your napkins, and here's the two that I've chose, you want to remove the excess plies. Now, most napkins have 2 excess plies. You only want to use the top ply. So these have been gessoed and they are completely dry. Now you want to put on the fluid matte medium. You could use Mod Podge. Any liquid adhesive really works. You just want to make sure that you put a good coat of it on. And this is the magic of the iron decoupage technique. I'm being quite generous with this, a good layer of it, and I'm being careful. I want to get it right to the edge because if you miss any spots, it's not going to stick on those spots. So you want to make sure. Now you're going to use that template and finalize the selection of the part of the napkin that you want to turn into a coaster. Now, I've already done parts of these coasters off camera. You don't need to see me do something 8 times. You position the template there, get a good idea of exactly how you want it to go. And then you're going to position it on the coaster. Now remember that matte medium is completely dry that you put on there. You position the napkin. And again, there is no right or wrong way. You're going to get a sheet of parchment paper and put it over top. And then grab your iron. Now I'm using this no-name brand mini iron, and I'll link that because I did get it at Amazon. But you can use a regular iron. I kept this part real time just to show you I'm not really putting it on that long. You want to check the edges to make sure that you've ironed right to the edge. And remember, once you've ironed it, it is going to be hot, so you may not want to touch it so terribly much. And If there's any parts that aren't there, you can add a little bit of matte medium if you need, or just try to iron it. Maybe you've just missed that part. This gets rid of all the wrinkles. It makes it perfectly smooth. Now you want to sand off the excess. Now you can buy specific little mini sanders. I've seen them on Amazon, but this comes from Dollar Tree. And it has a rougher side and a smoother side. I'm using the smooth side and I'm just going around and putting quite a bit of pressure here, and it's just cutting it off nice and clean. Now these 4-inch rounds that I bought are perfectly smooth. They are laser cut. There are no rough edges or anything. They are spectacular, and I got quite a deal. So you're going to have to read and look at what's available. So there, I'm just taking off on the second one. Same thing. And then I give it a little bit of an iron just to be triple sure. Now, this is an important step because I am going to overpaint or colorize it later. And so I am sealing the napkin, the top layer of this napkin, with another layer of the fluid matte medium. And yes, you can use the Mod Podge if that's what you're using. Now you have to be gentle. You don't want to use a soft brush because you don't want to gouge that napkin. It's still only paper, and while it is glued down, it can still get wet and reactivate and rip. So you want to be a little bit careful. Now, the odd time, it has kind of lifted a little bit when I've put wet on top. If that happens, put the parchment paper back on and iron it again. I didn't need to. It doesn't happen all the time, and I haven't been able to figure out why. So I talked about colorizing it. So remember that matte medium now is completely dry, and it seals that napkin. And now I'm going to use my Inktense blocks and a little bit of white gesso to colorize or tweak the colors of the napkin. Here I'm just putting a little bit of gesso, and then I'm going to add the Inktense block. Now the reason I'm using Inktense is that it is more translucent and you get more of a wash. Now you can use acrylic paints. You will want to thin them down and be aware that some of them are opaque, which means they block off what's behind it. I want the translucent because I just want to see it. I just want to boost up that color. For the hibiscus here, I just want it to make it more rich burgundy. Now, Inktense blocks are like watercolor, activated with water, but they are ink and they are permanent when fully activated and dry. So once this is done and I'm going to put a layer of varnish on them, it is not that wet varnish isn't going to reactivate the Inktense blocks, but it would if that was watercolor. So you definitely don't want to use watercolor at this stage because we are going to seal it to make it heat proof and waterproof because they are going to be coasters. Now, when I would do a set of coasters, I would do it more assembly line. So I'm doing 2 sets here. So I would put gesso on 8 of them. Then I would let that dry, and then I would put the matte medium on 8 of them. Then I would do all the ironing. And then I would do all the colors. So when I figure it out and I'm dropping this color and this color from my Inktense blocks, because I love mixing multiple colors. Here I'm adding a little bit of purple in there. Then I grab a little bit of blue and a little bit of the burgundy. You know, I just kind of add lots of different colors. And it's like watercolor. You can do it wet and wet, and they just kind of meld together. You can see the difference between the two. Now, I'm also going to do some shading, and here I'm adding some gesso with the white gesso because I want to brighten those white parts. And the overpainting process with the gesso makes it look more painterly, and it makes it look like maybe Karen actually did paint this. So here I'm adding some of the greens, and then again, I'm putting the light green in, that lime green, yeah, and then I drop in another couple shades of green as well. I just keep going back and forth. Now the Inktense blocks, I have a 72 set. I would, if I was buying it now, I might just buy the 36. And that brings it's about $2.35 per block, but they last a long time. And in mixed media and art journaling, I do use them. This is my second used most color medium after my acrylics. Now, this one, you can see the difference that in the coloring, because I've three of them I've already colorized. And all I've done is add a little bit more of the turquoise, a little bit of that lime green in there. Again, wet and wet. I get it wet and rubbing it on, and it just boosts that color just that bit. Now, people say, do I have to overpaint, Karen? If you are happy with it as it is, once you've ironed it on, you can skip to the stamping the sentiment on if that's what you want to do, or just the varnishing with polyvine that I showcase at the end of the video. So you could do as little or as much of it. While the steps up till now are pretty much standard issue, everything that goes on from now is kind of optional. If you like it, do it. If you don't, do something else or skip it altogether. Completely up to you. Here I'm just adding a leaf a little bit. There's like shadows of leaves there, and I'm just bringing it out. So I just go on, and I would have all four of the coasters there and doing them. Now I want to edge each of the coasters with black. I've got black paint on a makeup sponge. I'm just tapping around the edges. Now it is laser cut, and there are no it's a nice dark brown. So you don't need to do this, but I like the black, and then I'm coming back afterwards with a layer of gold. So all my coasters are fringed in gold, and I like that look. If you like it with just the black, you could do that. You could do faux stitching around the outside edge. Now here, lost some footage. I painted the centers of the hibiscus, and the gold that was on the eucalyptus napkin, I just went and traced over it with my fine line applicator. And then I'm splattering the coasters with gold. Again, I like that bling, but again, it's something that you can skip if you don't like this step. I am so in love with the hibiscus coasters. That deep dark burgundy just livened it up so much. I mean, I love the napkin, but I love the deeper color too. And by tweaking the colors, you can personalize it to whomever you're gifting it to, so it matches their decor. And then I decided I'm just going to stamp the word joy on all the hibiscus ones. And I put some black acrylic paint on the Ranger blending foam, and I'm using it as a stamp pad, just stamping joy. I don't want that to take over the coaster, but I like the little bit of a word there. Now I'm going to seal these, and these are going to be more permanent coasters, but you can buy cardboard coasters and do the exact same process to them, and have them for a party. And either, they can be throwaway at the end. You know, you have lots of napkins, right? So we use a napkin that you've already used once or twice, or you've bought a set of 20. Those are perfect. So on the eucalyptus one, I just typed some different words. I typed grow, wish, soar, and dream. But you don't have to put the words if that's not your thing. I think it might have looked nice with gold too. That would have been maybe a little less present, but kind of nice when people see it. Now I bought these self-adhesive cork rounds to put on the back. So all I did is peel off that backing and center it and place it. It's super sticky. You can remove it and straighten it if you get it in the wrong place, but it's pretty sticky. So you don't have long. They last and last. I'm thinking I could use these on a page. Then I give it 2 coats of heavy-duty wood varnish from Polyvine. And this, like the napkins, comes from NINNYSNAPKINS.com. Now, this is heat resistant. So when you put that coffee cup on it, not only does it protect it from the moisture, but it protects it from the heat. And your coffee cup will not stick if you have heat, which is really important. So as I said, I put 2 coats of this. I'm using the satin finish because I like a little bit of a sheen, but there's a flat version. Now, if you don't want to turn these into coasters, you could drill a hole and put a string through it, and they can become Christmas tree ornaments. So there you have the finished coasters. Quick, easy, they make super gifts. And you know what? It's using stuff in your stash. So now you can go and buy more napkins. You know that's how it works. Until next time, go get creative.